participants and viewers. I, CA Suhani Maharwal, on behalf of Jaipur ICI branch, welcomes you all for today's interesting webinar on startups, startup tools to convert ideas into reality. Today we have with us our special guest, CA Deepak Dusad sir, co-founder of Kirana King, and our learned speaker, CA Mahendra Kumawat sir. Welcome you, sir.
Welcome.
Now, without taking any more time, I would like to share screen with Deepak sir to share some words of wisdom with us. He is taking care of company, finance, accounts, HR, legal matters of company, and having more than 20 years experience. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, all of you. Hello, are you getting my voice?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
गुड मॉर्निंग, सुप्रभात, नमस्कार। उम्मीद करता हूं सभी लोग स्वस्थ होंगे, प्रसन्न होंगे। तो जैसा कि सुहानी ने बताया कि प्रेजेंटली आई एम टेकिंग केयर एज ए को-फाउंडर इन किराना किंग। तो किराना किंग की शुरुआत हम लोगों ने 2014 में एज ए प्रोडक्ट के रूप में की थी, जब हमने इनिशियली हमारा प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च किए थे प्राइवेट लेवलिंग के। पोस्ट दैट इन 2018 वी हैव, हम लोगों को लगा कि मार्केट में प्रोडक्ट से ज्यादा प्रोजेक्ट की डिमांड है। मतलब बाजार में जिस तेजी से परिवर्तन हो रहा है कंज्यूमर बिहेवियर में, तो कुछ ना कुछ नया करने की दरकार है। तो वी हैव डिसाइडेड टू स्टार्ट ए रिटेल चेन ऑफ किराना किंग। तो आप लोग अभी देख रहे होंगे कि वर्तमान में जयपुर में करीब किराना किंग की 200 दुकानें हैं। 200 शॉप्स वी आर रनिंग प्रेजेंटली इन ए असेट लाइट मॉडल। तो किसी भी स्टार्टअप को शुरू करने से लेकर उसको अंजाम देने के बीच में काफी सारे स्टेप्स होते हैं। तो जैसा कि हम लोगों ने 2014 में जब प्रोडक्ट के रूप में स्टार्ट किया, फिर प्रोजेक्ट में इसको टर्न किया, तो हम लोगों के सामने बहुत से चैलेंजेस आए, जो मैं आप लोगों को बताना चाहूंगा। सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज है ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज। किसी भी बिजनेस को अंजाम देने के लिए, सक्सेसफुल बनाने के लिए, उसमें ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज, अच्छे ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज का होना बहुत जरूरी है। तो जो हमारा बिजनेस मॉडल है, जिसके अंदर हम लोग एग्जिस्टिंग किराना शॉप्स को ट्रांसफॉर्म कर रहे हैं, उनको मॉडर्नाइज कर रहे हैं। दुनिया के अंदर एक ही आवाज आती है कि मॉडर्न ट्रेड, जबकि मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा कि मॉडर्न ट्रेड इतना जरूरी नहीं है जितना कि है एग्जिस्टिंग बिजनेस को मॉडर्नाइज करने का। जो एग्जिस्टिंग बिजनेस किराने का चल रहा है, उसको मॉडर्नाइज होना बहुत जरूरी है टू कम्पीट। तो हम लोग प्रेजेंटली एग्जिस्टिंग मॉम एंड पॉप शॉप, जो नुक्कड़ वाली शॉप होती है, जो किराने की दुकान होती है, इसको एक तरह से अडॉप्ट करते हैं और अडॉप्ट करके उसको ट्रांसफॉर्म करते हैं 3-4 स्टेज में। उसका लुक एंड फील चेंज करते हैं बाय वे ऑफ ट्रांसफॉर्मिंग दियर फर्नीचर, इंटीरियर्स, एक्सटीरियर्स। उसके बाद हम उसको डिजिटलाइज करते हैं कि वो किस तरह से पॉइंट ऑफ सेल का उपयोग करके और अपने ग्राहकों को बिल वगैरह प्रदान करे, अपने स्टॉक को टेक केयर करे। तीसरा हम करते हैं उसको सेंट्रलाइज सप्लाई के रूप में, कि ज्यादा से ज्यादा माल हम उसको कैसे प्रोवाइड करें जिससे कि उसकी दिन भर में जो बाइंग प्रॉब्लम्स होती है, उसका जो सारा समय, मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम ही स्पेंड इन द बाइंग द मटेरियल, इंस्टेड ऑफ दैट वो एक सिंगल पॉइंट से हमसे माल खरीदे। और चौथा हमारा जो प्रोसेस होता है वो होता है सोशलाइजिंग। उसके नेबरहुड एरिया में हम लोग उसको प्रमोट करते हैं किराने वाले की जगह किराना किंग के रूप में, जो क्योंकि उसकी एक पहचान नहीं थी। आज से पहले उसको गुप्ता किराना स्टोर, शर्मा किराना स्टोर के रूप में जाना जाता था, और आज उसकी पहचान होती है किराना किंग के रूप में। तो हम लोग सोशलाइजेशन में उसको ATL और BTL एक्टिविटीज के थ्रू काफी प्रमोट करते हैं। FM पे प्रमोट करते हैं, पेपर एड के रूप में उसको प्रमोट करते हैं, और काफी हमारी ऑनगोइंग एक्टिविटी चलती रहती है जिससे कि उसको प्रमोशन मिले, उसकी पहचान बने। तो इन ब्रीफ हमारा जो किराना किंग का जो बिजनेस मॉडल है, वो मैंने आपको इन प्रिसाइजली बता दिया कि हम किस तरह एक एग्जिस्टिंग किराना शॉप को ट्रांसफॉर्म करते हैं। हेलो Suhani.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your personal experience with us. Now, I would like to share screen with CA Kuldeep Gupta, sir, to welcome our special guest and speaker.
Thank you so much, Suhani. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes. First of all, I would like to thank today's speaker, CA Mahendra Kumawat ji, and the special star of the event, CA Deepak Dusad ji. ये जो आज का जो इवेंट जो हमने प्लान किया था वो मतलब ये था कि स्टार्टअप, हर कोई बात करता है कि स्टार्टअप का वाला दौर चल रहा है, ये जो डिजिटल एरा है उसमें स्टार्टअप है, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं ये सब चीजें कि क्या स्टार्टअप होता क्या एक्चुअली। दीपक जी, मैं आपको बताना चाहूंगा कि आज से तकरीबन 5-6 साल पहले सीए इंस्टीट्यूट में एक वेबिनार मतलब प्रोग्राम हुआ था यहाँ पे। तो वहाँ पे मुझे भी एज ए पार्टिसिपेंट मैंने भी ज्वाइन किया था, और लक बाई चांस एक स्पीकर ने ऐसे होता है ऑडियंस में से क्वेश्चन कर लिया कि व्हाट इज स्टार्टअप। अब हम तो कभी स्टार्टअप पे पढ़ा नहीं था, कभी ऐसे सुना ही था कि हाँ स्टार्टअप कुछ होता है। तो मैंने एक सिंपली जो मैंने स्टेटमेंट कहा, हालांकि वो टेक्निकली तो सही नहीं था बट प्रैक्टिकली बहुत सही था, कि स्टार्टअप तो वो है जिसके लिए आप अगर किसी लोगों को शेयर करो इनिशियली अगर आपका आइडिया, तो लोग बोले नहीं पागल है क्या, ऐसा कुछ होता है क्या, ऐसा तो कुछ होता ही नहीं है, ऐसा तो ये तो पॉसिबल ही नहीं है। आप भले किसी भी
नहीं,
एक आइडिया को आप उठा के देख लो। आज से अगर 5-7 साल पहले जब ओला उबर नहीं आई थी तब किसी ने ये बोला कि साहब आप एप्लीकेशन बुक करो, टैक्सी आ जाएगी। पहले हाथ हाथ देने की टैक्सी नहीं डूबती थी। किसी ने ये नहीं सोचा था कि मैं मेरे को कचौरी खाने की इच्छा होगी, सम्राट की कचौरी खाने की इच्छा होगी, या मेरे को कोई मतलब इसे किसी वाली कॉफी पीने की इच्छा होगी, तो वो वहां से स्विगी से ऑर्डर हो जाएगा। बट ये कोई भी इनोवेटिव आइडिया जो कि आपको एक बिल्कुल एक मेन स्ट्रीम से हटके दूसरी चीज को लेकर जाता है, तो वो अपन स्टार्टअप में कॉन्सेप्टली अपन मानते हैं कि प्रैक्टिकली जो जो चीज है। डिटेल में इसको डिस्कशन करने के लिए हमारे बीच में महेंद्र कुमावत जी हैं, वो इस बारे में पूरा डिटेल प्रोसीजर में बताएंगे कि क्या एलिजिबिलिटी होती है, कैसे रजिस्ट्रेशन होता है, क्या उनके फॉर्मेलिटीज होती है, क्या कंप्लेंसेज होती है। और जैसा कि दीपक सर के बारे में जितना मैं जानता हूँ, ये बाई प्रोफेशन तो सीए है ही है, बट इन्होंने इनिशियली इनका पहले इंडस्ट्री में इन्होंने करा, और एक अपनी जो मेन स्ट्रीम जो होती है सीए वाली या जॉब वाली, उसको छोड़ के वजह से उन्होंने एक सेकंड पाथ उन्होंने चूज करा कि क्या एक आइडेंटिटी क्रिएट करने का जिनके दिमाग में था, जिनका विजन था। ठीक है, दुकानदारी सब करते हैं, एक अपना वेंचर हर कोई लेके आता है, बट एक किसी आदमी को आइडेंटिटी क्रिएट करने के लिए आज अपन कोई भी मान लो कि आज पीएम मोदी की बहुत सारी स्कीम्स होती है कि सपोज कोई सा भी ऐसा हो, जैसे अपने बीच में एक मुहिम चली थी चाय वाला भी, वो सब चीजें, तो वो सब चीजें आइडेंटिटी क्रिएट करने का
वेबिनार
जो
पे
आइडिया
हूँ,
उन्होंने लिया, वो उसके लिए हम, और मुझे लगा कि इनसे
वेबिनार पे हूँ,
कोई
वेबिनार
बता सकता है कि जो कि खुद है व्यवस्था कोई बता नहीं पाएगा। एक साथ ही में एक और आपको सूचना देना मेरा फर्ज बनता है कि जयपुर ब्रांच द्वारा 25 दिसंबर से ब्लड डोनेशन कैंप का आयोजन किया जा रहा है, जो कि 25 दिसंबर, 26, 27, 28, 29 दिसंबर, इन दिनों में जयपुर के विभिन्न भागों में ब्लड डोनेशन कैंप होगा। क्योंकि हर हर बार 1 जुलाई को सीए डे पे जयपुर ब्रांच द्वारा आयोजित किया जाता था, और पिछले 10-12-15 सालों से आयोजित हो रहा है। बट कोरोना की वजह से इस बार 1 जुलाई को नहीं हो पाया था। बट पिछले 6-8 महीनों में जो हमने पूरी ब्रांच में जब वर्किंग करते हुए हमने महसूस किया कि जो हमारे सीए मेंबर है, स्टूडेंट है, उनके फैमिली मेंबर, इनको ब्लड की बहुत ज्यादा दिक्कत हो रही है। इवन ब्लड बैंक में जो बहुत ही कॉमन ब्लड होता है बी पॉजिटिव, उसकी शॉर्टेज होती है। कल भी हमने एक कुछ प्रयास करते हुए नंबर को 2 यूनिट का हमने बंदोबस्त करवाया। वो सब चीजें रेगुलरली हमें लग रहा था कि वो चीज है, तो इसके लिए हमने एक मुहिम करी है। हर बार ये सिर्फ एक ही लोकेशन पे होता था जयपुर ब्रांच में, अब की बार जयपुर की अलग अलग जगह पे हो रहा है। मैं दीपक सर से भी रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा, क्योंकि इनकी जो किराना टीम की टीम हर बार बढ़ चढ़ के पार्टिसिपेट करती है, तो वो भी अपनी टीम के साथ इसका हिस्सा लें। और मैं सभी मेंबर जो इस वेबिनार को देख रहे हैं उन सबसे रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि आप जयपुर में 25 तारीख को ब्रांच में, फिर मानसरोवर, वैशाली नगर, प्रताप नगर, चोमू, इन विभिन्न लोकेशन पे आपका हो रहा है। आपको जहाँ पे भी आपके लिए कन्वीनियंट हो, आप प्लीज ज्वाइन करें, क्योंकि ये जो मानवता के लिए जो अपने आपस में एक दूसरे की हेल्प के लिए जो प्रोग्राम कर रहे हैं, उसमें अपने को ही फायदा मिलेगा किसी को। और इस बारे में अगर और किसी को डिटेल करना हो तो आप बेझिझक होकर आपका संपर्क कर सकते हैं। और ओवर टू मैन, थैंक यू सो मच।
Thank you, Kuldeep sir, for such a warm welcome. Now, as we all know, that pandemic led us not only the health crisis, but also to socio-economic crisis. Every day, people are losing their jobs and income, with no way of knowing when normality will return. History also shows that crises are startup incubators. Some of the today's biggest companies were launched during after the 2008 economic crisis, including Venmo, Uber, Credit Karma, Slack, WhatsApp, and Groupon. And to throw some lights on today's topic, we have with us our eminent speaker, CA Mahendra Kumawat sir. CA Mahendra Kumawat sir has completed his CA in November 2016 and has a post-qualification experience of serving as a risk manager with ICICI Bank, Bangalore. He has expertise among startups and has taken presentation by counseling more than 75 startups at Incubation Center, Bhamasha Tech Hub. Over to you, Mahendra sir.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So thanks, Ms. Suhani, for the introduction. I'm sharing my screen first of all. Yeah, screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so again, thanks Ms. Suhani for the introduction, and special thanks to Mr. Deepak Dusad sir to joining us and to share your kind words on the startups, ki what are the challenges faced by the startups, how the ups and comes downs in the startups when we have started actually new ideas and all. And very good morning to all respected member and I would like to say thanks to our chairman, C. Anil Yadav ji, chairman of the Jaipur branch of CIRC of ICI, and CA Kuldeep Gupta ji, our secretary of the Jaipur branch, to give me the opportunity and present on the startups. I would like to add one more point that Jaipur branch has successfully completed more than 125 webinars and programs in the last 9 months. Due to COVID-19 pandemic, we are not able to meet physically. Then its Jaipur branch management committee has organized and so that committed to enrich the knowledge of members and students. So they are continuously imparting their knowledge. So thanks to organizing such of webinars and program, our Jaipur branch management committees. Now let's start the today's topic, startup, that how to convert your ideas into realities. When we are talking about the startups, then what comes in our minds, that there is some names like Ola, Uber, Swiggy, and Zomato, etc., etc. Why is they are called as a startup? There is a because they have doing something different from the which are existing doing. Like Swiggy has online all the aggregate of the all restaurant, and we can reach out to each one of the restaurant and we can take a delivery of the foods at our home. So I'm giving one of the example ki how a startup can be different. So for example, let's start with the example. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर अपन दवाई मेडिसिन खरीदने किसी नॉर्मल फार्मा स्टोर पे जाते हैं तो व्हाट वी आर डूइंग जस्ट गिव द प्रिस्क्रिप्शन टू द फार्मा मेडिकल स्टोर पर्सन and we just take he give the whatever he written in the medical prescription and we took the medicine and get back to home. Now recently I worked there is a generic medical pharma chain started in the Jaipur. I worked on that startup also. How they are selling, what are the unique idea of they are selling the medicine, what they are doing when we are going with our medical prescription, then they are giving an option of the same sort of medicine 3-4 option. Like for example, the Cipla company, there is a one medicine of ₹2 only, the same salt, and the other companies may be higher or lesser price. So that then we have an option which medicine we want to be purchase. Either we want to purchase the same salt ₹2 medicine, ₹2 medicine. So what are the different is that because they are giving an option in the to the customer. So they have a scalable business model. They grow, they attract the customer, they providing customer to the medicine with the lower cost. So this kind of the different model may fall into the category of the startups. So let's start now. We first of all we cover the definition of the startups, which is governed by the DPIIT. Department of the Promotional Industry and Internal Trade. So let's start. The first condition is that company is the period of existence and operation should be less than 10 years from the date of incorporation. So it means that if any company has started in the 2015, then the maximum this company can be for 10 years can be considered as a startup till 2025. So for example, a company has started in the 2015 and this company has registered in the as a startup 2020, then he is eligible to for a startup for next 5 years only. This is the first condition. Second condition, company type. There is a 3 type of the entity which can be considered as only startup under Startup India scheme only. That is private limited company, registered partnership firm, and LLP. There is a second condition. Third condition, annual turnover. Annual turnover should be less than 100 crore for any of the financial year since incorporation. Earlier, this limit was rupees 25 crore, but in financial year 20 budget, our respected finance minister has taken initiative and this limit has increased from rupees 25 crore to 100 crore. So for if any startup still the turnover of 100 crore, they still fall in the category of the startup. And then fourth condition, which is important, that should not be formed by splitting up or reconstruction of an already existing business. This means that the business should be originally and business should be the new started business. There should not be a split of any of the other existing businesses. And then one more condition here that there is no subsidiary company can be recognized as a startup. And fourth condition, there should be an innovative and scalable business model. This is also an important because a startup means there should be something should be innovative, something should be the improvement in the product or maybe process. That first condition is the company should be work toward development or improvement of a product, process or service, and the company should have a scalable business model with high potential. So this is the definition of the startups. If any of the company which is fall in this 5 criteria, then we can go for the register on a Startup India portal under Government of India scheme as a startup. For startup, there is a separate policies for the each of the state under India. There is a 2 scheme. State policy is a separate and Government of India is the for all startup wherever started in the India. Then further we will talk about the what once we fall in the startup category, then we can go for the register, and after recognition what sort of the benefits available to the startups. We'll talk one by one. So first benefit is that intellectual property right benefits. For startups, the government has separately appointed the facilitator. उनके IPs प्रोडक्ट इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी आइदर ए ट्रेडमार्क और पेटेंट उनको प्रोसेस करने के लिए गवर्नमेंट ने एक सेपरेट फैसिलिटेटर्स बैठा रखे हैं जो स्टार्टअप्स की एप्लीकेशन को एक फास्टर प्रोसेस करते हैं. ऑल्सो गवर्नमेंट हैज गिविंग ए रिबेट ऑफ फाइलिंग 80% government fees, 80% of the government fees in rebate in patent and 50% of the government fees in the trademark. However, this in trademark, the benefit is also provided by the MSMEs also. So first benefit, this is for faster processing, Government of India has bear all the cost for startups to fast process of these IP. And second, there is a relaxation in the public procurement norms. Normally, when we are applying for the e-government marketplace, which is called the GEM, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया का जो लार्जेस्ट टेंडर्स जहाँ से निकलते हैं, तो वहाँ पे ऑलवेज जब भी अपन अप्लाई करने जाते हैं टेंडर के लिए, तो देयर शुड बी अ क्राइटेरिया कि आपको मिनिमम टर्नओवर आपका इतना होना चाहिए, आपका प्रायर एक्सपीरियंस अगर पर्टिकुलर टेंडर के लिए जा रहे हैं तो इसमें इतना होना चाहिए, एंड आपके EMD देयर शुड बी स्पेसिफिक अर्नेस्ट मनी डिपॉजिट, तो आपकी EMD इतनी होनी चाहिए. बट those startup which is recognized by the government of India, they give an exemption to all of them. There should be a prior turnover. Even if your turnover less than the prescribed limit which is specified in the tender, then government has given the fully exemption. Prior experience, even if your startup experience is less than that, whatever mentioned in the tender, and also you no need to be deposit any EMD. You can apply on the government marketplace with such above exemptions. First of all, to apply this, you can get listed on the seller as a seller on Government of India's portal. The Government of India portal has annually more than 2 lakh tenders have launched, so there is a very good benefit for the startup. There is a third, self certification under labor and environmental law. So Government of India has providing the self-certification compliances under 6 labor laws, which is 6 labor law. The first one is Building and Construction Work Act 1996. Second, Interstate Migrant Workmen Act 1979. Third is Payment of Gratuity Act 1972. Fourth is Contract Labor Act 1970. Fifth is Provident Fund and Miscellaneous Act 1952. And sixth is Employee State Insurance Act. So government has providing the self-certification basis. Here government is not providing any exemption. Here what happen, if we need to, every startup need to be compliances as per the applicability of the ESI Act, PF Act. For example, PF Act is applicable when the employee limit cross number of 20s. So here you need to be compliance of that EPF Act, but from the department, no one can comes and examine your books of accounts कि whether कि मेरे को books of accounts check करवाओ. If any notice or any person has comes from the department, then you simply say to him कि sir, we are recognized by the Government of India startups and this is our startup recognition certificates. And then he can't examine unless otherwise there is some specifically not involved in the fraudulent transaction and all. So this is also a very good benefit because a startup can freely compliances. There is no fear of the notice from the department and all. And also second, there is a unit operating under 36 void category industry do not require clearance under 3 environmental related act for 3 years. So those benefit only providing by the for 3 years only. And fourth benefit, there is a international breezes. Government of India has always collaborating with the other countries also, like Russia, Korea, Japan. So they are providing our startups to the global market access. They with international organization, Government of India time to times also organize various challenges and various programs, and they give the startup challenge to solve this problem. Then we can give you some $1 million amount, etc. So we can if any once you recognized as a startup, then you can apply for these challenges also. At the end, I will also show you a live demo कि किस तरह से गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया challenges वगैरह को अपन अप्लाई कर सकते हैं. The next benefit is faster exit. So कोई भी बिजनेस अगर अपन स्टार्ट करते हैं तो स्टार्ट करना इजी होता है, बट व्हेन वी आर एग्जिटिंग देन इट टुक लॉन्ग प्रोसेसिंग एंड लॉन्ग टाइम आल्सो. Normally when company we go for the winding up, then it would take the 180 days under IBC code. But if you are recognized as a startup, then MCA has notified the fast track firm enabling them wind up the operation within 90 days only. Next is, and most important benefit, here the startup is attractive. This is the tax exemption. So first of all, the first condition for the tax exemption, that the tax exemption is available to only those startup who's incorporated after 1st April 2016 only. And the second condition, you need to be recognition the certificate from the government of India, which is mandatory always. And second condition is that you also need to be take the IMB certificate. IMB is the interministerial board of the government, which is defined that particular startups are what, which is decided what innovative they are doing and whether they are eligible for the tax exemption or not. So there, here is the two different things. Recognition under startups is different, and to take tax exemption, we need to be also take a certificate from the IMB board also. So the exemption, what are the exemption under the tax? The tax exemption on startup, there is an option for the startups कि he can take a for 3 consecutive year out of 10 year. So for example, if a company has started in 2016 and the company has applied for the registration in 2020, then the company maximum can be remain as a startup till 2026 because they started in the 2016, and now they should be taken as his tax exemption in the next 6 year only, right? So in once they are apply for the exemption, he should be for the 3 consecutive year. Once you applied, you do not have an option कि आपको 1 साल अभी ले लेंगे, 1 साल जब आगे प्रॉफिट आया तो ले लेंगे. Once you apply, then आपको 3 लगातार सालों में आपको ये exemption लेके लेनी पड़ेगी. Second most important exemption, that exemption from provision of the 56 to 7B. So as per the provision of the Income Tax Act 56 to 7B, if any startup or if any private limited company has issue his share on premium on over and above fair market value, then he need to be pay the tax under 56 to 7B other sources. So in 2018 December, when Paytm getting funding from the Warren Buffett and various big names, then the startup valuation become double. For example, today's the Paytm valuation is $7 million, and only $1 million put by the Warren Buffett. Then the Paytm valuation has in the next day $14 million. So now, this type of the valuation when are happening, then government has took a good initiative and exempt from this tax to the specifically only to the startup which is recognized by the DPIIT. So you know, if the company has issued his share over and above fair market value, then still there are no need to be pay any single penny of the taxes. Third condition, exemption to the individual and HUF from long-term gain tax on sale of residential property. So normally what happen, if any person has sold a residential property, then he need to be invest in some other residential property or buy the house within 3 years or maybe construction. But if he had sold any residential property and his investment in the eligible startup which is recognized by the government, then also his capital gain exemption is also providing under section 54 GB. But the condition should one also be that should be having an IMB certificate also, that should be approved by the interministerial board, which is board of the government of India. Apart from that, government of India also investment in the various startups. Government of India is not directly investing; they have an investing through the venture capitalist and all. So let's understand the again next benefit. Government of India has set aside corpus fund of rupees 10,000 crore, which is managed by the SIDBI and Small Industrial Development Bank of India. Through the Small Development in SIDBI, the SIDBI has given the fund to the venture capitalist, and venture capitalist has invested to the startups, and they have an option to invest in the every startup twice. And next benefit, which is more important for those startup who raise the money from the out of India also. For example, so relaxes there once you recognized by the government of India under the startup recognition scheme, then whenever you have apply for the ECB condition, then government of India has providing the various relaxation to the RBI compliances and FEMA compliances and ease of compliances for the specifically for the startup. They can easily raise from the ECB from the out of India. Startup can raise the fund from the convertible note. Next, we'll understand the startup portal. When we have registered from the startup portal, then what sort of access we are getting from the startup portal. On startup portal, there is a network with other stakeholder in startup ecosystem. On startup, there is a various other startups also registered, so we can connect with the other startups also. On startup portal, they are also offer can register the investors also. So any you can find if any startups want any investors, then there is a various list of the angel investor, venture capitalist. He can find his investors and can approach. He can get the data, name, and contact number they are providing on the websites. Mentors. Various mentors is also registered of the different expertise person. If you want mentorship from the those mentors, you can take easily. You can reach out them through the online Startup India portal. And incubators. Government of India has also opened the incubator in the various states, like in our state, government of Bhamasa Techno Hub, which is situated in the Jalana Dungri, and in Hyderabad there is a V Hub, D Hub, various. So they are also we can apply for the, we can search from there how many incubators in across the country, and if we want any seat to the in any incubator, we can apply that. Then accelerator, that incubators has time to time organizes various programs to call the successful founder like Paytm, Ola, Uber, and they are doing the various programs and accelerators. And currently the government bodies also Startup India portal try to one single window solutions. All government bodies compliances can do from there also. This is in the developing stage. Next, participate in the program and challenges. Earlier, I also talk about this. Government of India has time to time providing the challenges to the startups. कि आप ये चैलेंज सोल्व करके लाओ, हम आपको फॉर दिस a reward of $1 million. So if any startups has solved any this type of the challenges with a more innovative things, then his board has decided which startup should be get the reward or not. So this type of the challenges across the global we can apply, and we can participate by the any startups. Apart from that, startup can also access the free tool and resources like learning and development programs. On Startup India portal, there is a various learning and development programs available from coding to artificial intelligence, and how to increase your communication skills. There is various programs there available, and what things are to be need to be mind when you have your startups. So this type of the learning and development programs are available. And there is a repository of all government startup schemes and policies. Here, for there is a uniformity of the Startup India policies, and for each state there is a different policies. For example, in Rajasthan, there is a different policy only for the state startups. For Rajasthan government startup, there is a separate policy. For Telangana, there may be a separate policy. In the next two slide, and further, we also cover the two state government policy for example basis. And government of India on startup portal has also provided a template for all agreement, no, etc. customized using document builder. So for example, we need some employment agreement, we need a founder agreement, we need a term sheet. So government of India has uploaded all the document on the Startup India portal. We can just reach out and download from their portal and walk through an investor engagement and various pro bono services. So in the next slide, we will discuss the pro bono service network. So we had earlier is also discussed. This is the detailed slide only. We can connect with the startup, more than 50,000 startup, investor opportunity to get in touch with individual and institutional investors, and we can touch with the mentors, and we can get a seat in the incubators and various accelerators, and also government bodies are at one place only. Now next, that knowledge bank for the startup. For a startup, there is an online guide to starting a business in India, and there is a central repository which we discussed earlier also. Whatever agreement and all will get from that Startup India website. Then partner services. Government of India offer a partner services also. For example, there is a big startup we called Intuit and Zoho. They have a partnership with the government of India, and they're providing to all other startup his tools with a free of cost with the some for the time period, which will be discussed ki what type of the tools government of partner services provided. We'll discuss in the next slide also. And tools and templates, various HR template, finance template, projections, all are available at Government of India website. And some online courses and innovative challenge, which we have discussed also. Now, what are the pro bono services? Following are the pro bono services. Once you recognized as a startup, then you can avail these services as a free of cost from the government of India, or you can apply through the startup portal. The first very good benefit provided that cloud space of the AWS, Amazon Web Services, and Digital Ocean. So AWS Active is a free program specifically designed for the startups and early stage entrepreneur that offer the resources needed to get started on AWS. And Digital Ocean also providing the up to $1,000 worth of Digital Ocean cloud credit. Second, there is a management and enterprise software. Zoho One. Zoho One is a company also. They are providing the partner services. Zoho One is a suite of application, around more than 40 application in Zoho, like Zoho Books, Zoho Accounts, Zoho Expenses, and Zoho Payroll, etc. So this Zoho we can use, or startup can use, automate his business. They can apply the free of cost once they're recognized by the Startup India under DPIIT. They can apply the free of cost Zoho One for the 1 year, which help to the startup to automate his process, his businesses. Like for example, in Zoho One, what happened? There is a one tool, one app also in Zoho Expenses. So if our employee has simply captured the photo of reimbursement expenses, and he asked the head, he put in the proper head Then in Zoho Books, there is a automated entries has been posted. So this type of the automation tools had provided free of cost for the initial year startups. Intuit and QuickBooks also provide the free of cost. Here is also the software, technology software. Other is a cloud telephony services like Exotel, My Operator, Caller Desk, and Truecaller. What is that? That Exotel, for example, for example, we book the Ola cab, or whenever we uh, order any no, from the restaurant, any breakfast and lunch, then whenever delivery boys and Ola driver comes, then we got a call from the some landline number. However, he is doing from the mobile number. So these type of the services providing the Exotel, because they all call they are recorded, and they set some virtual number, a landline number. Whenever if you call from the your number also, then the receiving person get the number of in the local state. So Exotel has providing till 6 months there is free of cost till 6,000 credit. Next, My Operator is also the same, and Caller Desk is also the same time of the service provided. They are providing the some in a initial of the startup, initial year of the startup, providing the free tools. Then customer experience management. There is a one software, MI Client. MI Client is a client management software which help the small and medium businesses manage their complete client interaction at a one place only. So this type of the tools you can access as the free of cost. Now these are the we discussed some of the startup definition criteria. What are the criteria to recognition of the startup, and what are the benefits providing by the government of India. Now there is a separate we cover here the two state policy. One is state Telangana, and second government of Rajasthan. What are the other, what are these states, what initiative taken for the startups? Normally what happen, government of India normally providing the non-monetary benefits, and state government in each state, mostly state you can say, providing a directly monetary benefits. They give the startups to bootstrap the startups, providing the funding. So let's discuss about the Telangana first of all. These are the initiative for the incubator. So if anyone want to set up incubator, here the startups can take a space in the government, in the state government. Then the following are the benefits, or following are the exemption can provided by the state government. First one, reimbursement of the stamp duty and registration fees. Government of Telangana has providing reimbursement of the stamp duty, or maybe the complete exemption of the stamp duty in the 2 installment. Second, matching grant. State government would match the funding raised by the incubator from the government of India. For example, if anyone want to be set up the incubator in the government in the Telangana, then he may got the fund from the government of India. The same fund is provided by the Telangana government also, and he can set up easily in the Telangana state. Then they providing a performance linked assistance. They providing rupees 25,000 per startups incubated, subject to the limit of rupees 10 lakh per year for first 3 years. Then they also providing the rental reimbursement. For example, if any incubator who has set up at the incubator, if he took the rent, he took the building on a rent, and they are incubated as providing the incubation to the startups, then government of state government has providing the some reimbursement. That reimbursement rupees 5 per square feet per month, or 25% of the actual rent paid, whichever is lower. And also whenever anyone want to set up incubation center, then he need the investment. So state government has also provide the investment subsidy, that is 20% of the value of capital expenditure other than land and building, up to the maximum rupees 30 lakh. And other benefits provided by the state government is that uninterrupted supply of electricity and industrial tariff, and 25% of the reimbursement on internet charges up to a maximum rupees 2 lakh 50,000 per year for the first 3 years of operation. Next slide, what sort of the benefits provided to the startups by the Telangana government. This is a most important and also very good incentives as provided by the government of Telangana. If anyone want to be set up any startup in the Hyderabad or maybe in Telangana state, then he can apply for this benefit. But for state government, you have to be need to be apply the separate on startup on the state government portal, separate registration. The first benefit, they providing the reimbursement of the SGST. If any startups has providing the services or selling the goods, and they charge the within the state, that like CGST and SGST. So if those turnover up to rupees 1 crore per annum, they can apply for the reimbursement of the SGST portion only. They can apply for the annually for this reimbursement, and the Telangana government has directly credited into your bank account. Then second, there is an international marketing promotion reimbursement. Normally when a startup has growing, then he also want to be in, doing the international trade. So if any startups has doing any international marketing or international trade, so then Telangana government has reimbursed to that startup 30% of the actual cost, including traveling cost, and maximum rupees 5 lakh per year per company. This is a really good initiative to pitch the startups in the international market. Then third benefit, that is a reimbursement of patent filing cost. Normally when we are apply for the international patent, there may be a huge cost for the startups, but here the Telangana government has providing some rebate or some reimbursement of that whatever his expenses done by the startups. So in India, the limit of rupees 2 lakh per Indian patent award, or for awarded foreign patent and a single subject matter up to rupees 10 lakh would be reimbursed by the Telangana government. Reimbursement will be done in the two stages. There is a 50% after the patent is filed, and balance 50% after the patent is granted. Other benefit which is very important also, that is recruitment assistance, which is help also to the startups in the initial year, like recruitment assistance rupees 10,000 per employee for the first year. But here is the some condition that a state government has applied the condition that the employee should be the only Telangana origin. The employee should be retained at least 8 months. Then only can provide they provide a recruitment assistance to the startup. And second is the most important, that startup that record a year-on-year growth rate 15% as per audited accounts shall be eligible to get a grant of 5% of turnover, subject to a limit of rupees 10 lakh within a period of 3 years from the date of incorporation. So government of India directly providing the grant also. If your turnover has increased year on year 15% or more than 15%, then they provide your whatever the turnover, 5% of the turnover subject to maximum of rupees 10 lakh. Now we'll move the what are the our state government, Rajasthan government policies. In Rajasthan, government has took a very good initiative for the startups, and they are also providing the fund to the startups very easily, you can say. And from all other states, his government of Rajasthan policy has very lenient. First condition, that incubation. Government of Rajasthan, first of all, to get those benefits, we need to be applied on the separate portal, as I earlier also talked that कि अपने को गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया में सेपरेट रजिस्ट्रेशन होगा और गवर्नमेंट ऑफ राजस्थान को स्टार्टअप्स बेनिफिट के लिए सेपरेट रजिस्ट्रेशन होगा. व्हाट आर द डिफरेंट ऑफ इन द रजिस्ट्रेशन? फॉर एग्जांपल DPIIT में रजिस्ट्रेशन करवाने के लिए हमको केवल 3 एंटिटीज एलिजिबल है, प्राइवेट लिमिटेड, LLP और रजिस्टर्ड पार्टनरशिप फर्म. लेकिन अगर आप गवर्नमेंट एज अ प्रोप्राइटरशिप भी स्टार्ट करते हैं तो भी यू कैन अवेल द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट बेनिफिट. However, you are not eligible for the DPIIT. To get the benefit of the DPIIT, you should be fall into the 3 category of the entities. So what are the benefit provided by the government of Rajasthan? They providing the space in the Bhamasa Techno Hub. Bhamasa Techno Hub is really a good space for the startups. They providing the free of cost sitting space, internet, and including the computer systems as per the requirement of the startups. And the building is also designed very good on the Silicon Valley based. They very good environment they are providing, and for first year they providing the free of cost, and from the next year onwards they are also charging a very nominal prices, only rupees 500 per month per seat. Second benefit, there is a sustenance allowance. So government of Rajasthan has providing us to the startup even if they are in idea stage. For example, you are applied for the startups and you get registered your ideas, and you are applied for the sustenance allowance, and then they called for the presentation. And once they are satisfied with your presentation, your idea is good, your idea is scalable, your business model is scalable, then they providing with the immediate effect 10,000 per month for a 1 year on idea stage only. Only on to share your idea with the government. They providing the 10,000 to sustain the startups for 1 year. Third benefit, there is a seed and marketing assistance. Once the startup at MVP stage, MVP is a minimum viable product. That means that startups product has validated, startup idea is validated, and now startup has growing, customer is coming. Then there is a 2 fund, seed fund and marketing fund provided by the government of Rajasthan. That the seed fund provided by that directly rupees 2 lakh. They provide same things they are doing. They called for the presentation. They understand what are the why you need the funding of rupees 2 lakh or 10 lakh, whatever you applied for the seed marketing or the seed seed and marketing assistance. And to apply for the marketing and seed assistance, government of Rajasthan has took the equity for that. So normally government of Rajasthan, how does their to apply their to give to take the equity, there is some valuation need for the government of Rajasthan. So they providing normally 10 lakh rupees fund against the 10% of equities normally. And last and fourth benefit, there is a techno hub. For example, if any startup which is recognized by the government of Rajasthan has got any funding from the angels and venture capitalist, then government is also provide this fund up to rupees 25 lakh with the same valuation which is done by the angels and venture capitalists without any cushioning, without any if and buts. The government can put the same amount. If he put the less than 25 lakh, government can give you the same amount. For example, any venture capitalist invested rupees 20 lakh, then government of Rajasthan without any cushion, without any being doing any valuation, they providing rupees 20 lakh at the same valuation. These are the benefits provided by the government of Rajasthan and government of India, which we have discussed. Now the topic is that how to convert your ideas into realities. So whenever we have start any startup, then we should be analyzing the environment, analyzing the industry analysis, what are the terms and conditions we need to be keep in mind. So we'll discuss now one by one with an example also. So if any startup has started, then he's analyzing the environment and competitive advantage. Importance of understanding and analyzing the business environment surround any ventures. There may be a macro trend in India right now for the entire internet mobility business. India is seeing immense growth in mobile phones. Television is a one-way medium and mobile phone have really opened up the interactive medium for the first time with Indians that going to open up consumption in every vertical, and business like e-commerce business will have to innovate for that platform. The hardware is there now and it getting cheaper and cheaper, and data cost is also data is improving gradually and data cost also becoming cheaper and cheaper. That's enabling again the whole consumption on the mobile phone. Capital is available for smart entrepreneur to build very local business model, and all these things, this whole technology growth is happening in parallel with the interesting dynamic of the schedule. People can have more flexible work choice. So what any one of the want to know startup, then he should do the environmental analysis. And how does he does the environmental analysis? We understand the five factor for before starting any startup. What should be five factors he should be keep in mind. uh, so business are gradually influenced by the environment, so it is very important for to analyzing the existing business environment and look for the competitive advantage in the market. Environmental analysis is a strategic tool. It is a process to identify all the elements which can affect the organization performance. The analysis of such element help align strategy with the firm environment. The first factor is that before starting any business, we need any startup need to be the environmental analysis. And in environmental analysis, the first factor is that demographic factor. What is the demographic factor? Simply put, it is the study of the human population living in an area, their age, job, income, spending habit, gender, and so on. In India, more than 50% of the population is below the age of 25 year, which gives the chance to the startup to focus on youth-centric product. Then there are technological factors that include research and development activities, the speed of technology commercialization, rate of technology change, automation, and so on. In India context, in the Indian context, we can very clearly observe smartphone revolution, where a lot of people are becoming more tech savvy and moving more sophisticated mobile devices regardless of the age. That means in India there is each and every has more tech savvy and they are more and more using the mobile phones and etc. Second, there is a technology factors which is mobile and website we can consider. Now is mobile is a significant part, but whether you should be a mobile only or a mobile first or mobile also a company is something you need to be determined basis on the user behavior, because these are what the statistics are right. India is the second largest country in terms of the smartphone ownership. So we can analyze the technology factor. For example, if any startup has launch any app, then how many customer, how many person can reach to that app, he can study to that. Third one, social culture factor that take into consideration trend, behavior or attitude change related to the culture, health, awareness, population, growth rate, age distribution, career attitude and safety expectation. In the Indian scenario, we can see a behavioral shift in the consumer who used to shop offline are now very comfortably shopping online. Then economic factor, which include GDP, interest rate, economic growth, inflation, and exchange rate. They impact how business operate and the decision make in the particular environment. And then political and legal factor. These factors take into consideration the political party in power, government policies affecting the economy, and the degree of government intervention in India. For instance, the current government intends to give a good push to the startup, thereby initiated the Startup India campaign and many other which focus on the different section of the society. So to start any startup, we need to be analyze the above five factor, whether demographic factor, technology, socioculture, and whether our state government policy or government of India policy has suitable for these startups. So let's take one example how an ideas uh, can apply to those factor which we have discussed. So, to understand the impact of such factors in decision making of ventures, let's assume that you love books and that has got you thinking about starting a bookstore. Now, let's just this idea against the parameter we have just discussed, which first one is the demographic, right? So while previous generation focused on the basic like foods, clothing, shelter, then current younger generation have evolved to focus on higher order need like entertainment. Thus, based on this demographic parameter, idea of setting up of the books store seems good. The world of books has changed. You can easily buy books online and you can have them delivered to your doorstep through the Amazon and Flipkart. Added to that, with the advent of the reading gadget like Kindle and general all-purpose devices, tablet and large screen mobile phone, etc. Most book readers, especially those who read while traveling, prefer to load thousands of the book in their gadget rather than carry around individual bulky books. With the rapid rise of the penetration of such gadget, physical book buying and the two via physical purchase in bookstore seems like dying activities. So based on the technological parameter, the idea of open the physical store of books may not be seems good. Then far from it, actually the youth are socializing more, eating out more, traveling more, visiting bookstore. Visiting a bookstore seems less likely to fall in this pattern. Uh, so based on the socio-culture parameter, idea is also not good, seems so good to open the physical stores. So if you are thinking of opening your bookstore in India, then the economic factor are in favor of the business, as the Indian economy is on a high rise. In fact, it's a market which is being eyed upon by many international players. The political and legal environment as of now is stable and conducive, but you will be required to get into a depth and state regulation and how does it impact your business. So let's assume all is well from that standpoint, from the legal factors. and it's a yes for the economic and political factors. So at combined level, it seems 2 scores on those parameters which put in the neutral place. A positive score in favor is ideally when the business should be considered as a worthy. So when any startup has started, then they're doing the environmental analysis. I want to give one example also, which is started in lockdown. One of the startup which is Pune based. When in during COVID-19 pandemic, there is a one startup started in the Pune, Guruji on demand, बिकॉज ये समय की मांग थी, क्योंकि व्हेन ड्यू टू कोविड-19 पेंडेमिक परिजनों को अंतिम संस्कार के लिए मशक्कत करनी पड़ रही थी। वहीं गुरुजी ऑन डिमांड स्टार्टअप ने they are providing the pandit and they are providing all other material required for the funeral and etc. So how can a startup can innovative, how they can think, they just you can book the online whatever you think, just visit on Guruji on demand and they take care of from all activities, all these things. So this type of the environmental analysis when the startup are doing, then they get a good business also. Second, when any startup has starting, then they should be do the industry analysis. In industry analysis, for the startup, there is always a threat of entry. We took an example of the Amazon. For example, if anyone want to be start a marketplace, then Amazon and Flipkart already in the market. They are providing the variety of the product, and there is a fast mover advantage also they're taking. So we need to be the study what are the threat and what are our competitive what are our competitive available in the market, and what unique we are offering, so that customer can attract to us rather than to other startup or other company. So let's start. Then threat of entry, new entrant to an industry bring new capacity and desire to gain market share that put pressure on price, cost and the rate of investment necessary to complete. Think about the real estate sector. In the initially when the there was just two major players, 99 acre and Magic Bricks. These are the Magic Bricks and our app. Here we can get rental property easily. They are an online aggregator of the properties of rental and lease. But suddenly when many other players are entering into the such markets as housing.com, nobroker.com, so when they are enter into the market, then housing.com, nobroker.com, they are always as a threat of entry. What are the unique they are providing apart from that 99 acre or Magic Bricks, then only can survive, they can survive. So maybe they're providing for the there is a free download of our app, and you can easily search the property without any brokerage on no broker app. So they're providing us a type of the initiative to reach the maximum customer. Then the threat of entry of new entrant put a cap on the profit potential of an industry as more and more player comes into take a slice of the pie. Having said that, expecting no competition to enter the domain is unrealistic. Let's take another example of the Amazon. There is always a threat of new entrant, as it is relatively less costly to enter the market to set up operation, because you no need to be any physical store and location to, you just need an website and you just upload your whatever the product, and you can connect with the various seller and upload the pictures of the particular thing whatever you want to sell. So in addition, the traditional established physical store can easily move into online retailing and bring with them the substantial consumer base. On the other hand, Amazon has created entry barrier. So if any startup start like Amazon only, then what are the threat of this for that startup? Because Amazon has already has a variety of the product. If any new startup had want to be start like Amazon, then he need a huge investment, he need a huge money to launch. There's a variety of the product. Amazon is also took a first mover advantage. First mover advantage is that, for example, we search on the Google if any of the product name, then we just find top on that Amazon.com, Flipkart.com, maybe this. And substantial economy of scale. Amazon has already a cover wide area of our all over the world. So this is also considered a threat of and for the new startups. Second, in when we are doing the industry analysis, we need to be do the analysis of the buyer power. Powerful customer can capture more value by forcing down price. For example, we'll take an example that power industry, most of the coal which is produced in India is purchased by the thermal power industry. Thermal power plant are the major buyer of the coal. So in India, due to limited number of large thermal power plant, they are very powerful buyer. And if the domestic mining companies increase the price of coal to a high level, power plant will import the coal from outside. So they are always need to be there at minimum cost. Taken another example of the Walmart. Walmart is extremely powerful as a buyer. It has enormous reach and reaches to the thousands of end users. It also buy in large quantity and control how a customer access the brand and product that in stock. This means that Walmart can dictate the price, delivery time, and product quality from its suppliers. Supplier cater to the pressure by basing their operation close to Walmart headquarters and allow easy access to the company purchasing department to test product and negotiate terms. Walmart can easily switch supplier, which give the company additional power to dictate terms. Here the buyer would have high buying power as the number of buyer are low, because Walmart is already an established company. So if Walmart has purchased anything from them, then uh, he need to be satisfy all the terms and condition of the Walmart. But when a startup has started and this type of the condition has imposed, then he may not be perform better. So for an entrepreneur, it is always to be always is better to have a weak buyer power. And third one is supply power. Just think how many cell phone service providing companies are in India. There may be a 3, 4, 5. Powerful supplier like telecommunication major often create a situation where they get most of the value by charging higher prices, limiting quality. Looking at another industry, apply the same thought. Microsoft, for instances, has contributed to the erosion of profitability among the personal computer maker by raising price on the Microsoft software. So if Microsoft software has a monopoly in the market, because they whatever they have a price in the market, we need to be buy them. So for the startup, for example, if a startup want to be buy and set up his technology, then there may be always ideal to have a low supplier power, then a startup can grow it better. And fourth, the startup has a threat of substitute. Uh, Earlier we discussed also that no broker and 99 acre, and then onwards there is a magic bricks and no broker apps is come. There is a substitute of that 99 acre. So a substitute perform the same or similar function as industry product may different means Substitute are always present, but they are easily to overlook because they may appear to be very different from the industry product. Let's take an example of the travel agent. Whether online or offline, they were threatened when airline themselves become the substitute of the travel agent. Let's take the case of the automobile industry. Just 2 to 3 years ago, if you were to ask any automobile sector expert, the list of potential substitute, the list would be very different. Today, with the advent of several aggregators like Ola, Uber, etc., the younger generation, especially the first time car purchaser, are often foregoing the decision of buying a car because they can just book an Ola and Uber with the driver facility also, without any headache for the petrol, without any headache of the petrol filling, cleaning the car and maintenance, etc. And fifth is competitive rivalry. Take an example of the social networking site like Facebook. Facebook command a loyal user based across the several user demographic and geographical. However, there is a competition from the Google Plus, Instagram, Twitter can cause a reduction in the average time spent by active user on the FB platform. And also a Snapchat, for example, Snapchat appeal to a younger audience and is more popular also in the females. We expect this trend of the persist, and Facebook could be a competition with different user demographics like Insta and Google Plus or Twitter also. So startups should be take that how they can take the competitive advantage. So let's discuss the first one being the presence of proprietary element it like patent, trade secret, and so on. That's the other firms are unable to duplicate or imitate. So how the startup can take the competitive advantage? Always startups they started with some unique idea. So first of all, when startup has started, they always think to be complied with the legally. How they be comply with legally? For example, अगर कोई स्टार्टअप्स का एक प्रोसेस है जो उसने एक इनोवेटिव किया है या कोई प्रोडक्ट उसने बनाया है विच इज वेरी डिफरेंट एंड यूनिक, so they should be have a patent of that process, they should be have a trademark of the name, they should be have a patent of that product. So because of the patent they took the competitive advantage. Let's take one example, best example of the Google, a brand that comes to mind automatically when it comes to the internet. They have a sustainable competitive advantage which through patenting their product and have an exclusive right for the production distribution of their finite period of year. Google is to known to have one of the world's largest patent portfolio. So any startups which want to be started like the Google, they can't compete to the Google because Google have already have a secured by filing of the patent or by getting the patent. As a company, they do not keep any new feature or new idea as a trade secret. Instead, they feel safer to patent it out. This solve two purpose for them. One is they have an exclusive right for the same, and second is prevent them from any patent infringement legal battles. Let's take another example of the Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is maintaining competitive advantage from the last 120 year. Some of the key feature of the Coca-Cola strategy, that first one is maintenance of different strategy by having a secret recipe which give a unique taste to Coca-Cola's product. And second, innovation of new product with a product portfolio of 400 brand and in 200 market. Maintenance of dense and robust distribution system throughout the world is also a competitive advantage for the Coca-Cola. Maintenance of low cost strategy based on the superior product technique. So these are the competitive advantage. Now when the startup has started, then startup need to do contract with his various customer, various vendors, and to his employee also. So and also is a very important for each and every startup to return each and everything to grow in the market fastly and with the security. So let's discuss about first of all the what is contract, and then we'll discuss what should be the terms when we are defining any contract. So contract could be the verbal, contract could be in the written. Verbal discussion could also be the contract if indeed there is meeting of mind. But the reason the word thing and we advise the contract should be understood in the written sense is because it bring about clarity. When you don't have a contract, very often the commercial terms is left to interpretation. The way you think about does not necessarily mean that where the counterparty think about it, and therefore to bring the complete clarity we need to be design a contract, and we need to be following key aspect in the contract. There is a 5 key aspect in the contract should be present. There is a term of contract. What are the term of the contract for particular period, whether is a 1 year or 1 year, 2 years, short term, long term, and termination. Second, when the contract is terminated, there should be a specifically mentioned. Then there is a more clarity with the startups and with the counterparty. Third is the most important, exclusivity. Normally, when we design the contract, then we should be specifically mention the following things which we are not exclusive. कई बार क्या होता है कि सामने वाला भी ये सोचता है कि हाँ ये तो इसमें इंक्लूड होगा ही. When there is a thinking is not match of the person who is doing the contract and counterparty, then there may be a dispute. So you should be specifically mention the exclusive list of also, and what sort of the payment terms specifically mentioned in the contract. So in future there is a no dispute about the payment also, and representation and warranties. So these are the detail one which we already covered. Next, we give the interesting thing. There is a founder agreement. We discussed the why the founder agreement is required. Normally, the business has started with maybe 1%, 2%, or maybe more than 2%, 3, 4%. So there should be an understanding among the founder. Between the founder is always important to grow the business and to fortunate the business and to take a competitive advantage of the business. So we'll discuss there why the founder agreement is required, and what are sort of the terms which we need to be put in the founder agreement. Let's discuss founder agreement that will enter with your other key founder. Now this often vary upon you are the co-founder or it is the venture stepping up with the family member of with friends and family. So depend upon the background through which you are setting up your company and who are the key shareholder of your company. That is just family, it's friend and family. You are the only founder, or if there are other founder, those are the key aspect which will govern the terms of your founders agreement. Why founder is agreement is required? When to approach the funding, for example, while one founder may think that company is ready and another founder may think that you still need to be grow and scale to a particular level and become more mature company in order to be able to attract a good valuation. So to match those things, we need to be defined the in founder agreement before that also. So you should agree that initial stage only that company does require some amount of fund to operate. So who is founder that's bringing those funds, it is the joint responsibility of the to raise the fund, or it is the only sole responsibility to raise the fund. This should be discussed before starting the startup, or so it's a bit always better to match the mentality of each of the co-founder. If one founder has really committed to bringing the fund, and the whole basis of your business plan is depend on this founder delivering on that, it is good to put down the agreement so that there is no misunderstanding later on, where you are suddenly left overnight with no cash coming in and you are the suddenly remaining on fumes. The last critical aspect is ownership in the company of certain of its key aspect like intellectual property. This is very important कि स्टार्टअप में जो आईपी है, जो इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी अपन पेटेंट ट्रेडमार्क करवा रहे हैं, तो नॉर्मली क्या होता है कि एक फाउंडर का आइडिया होता है, दूसरा फाउंडर में भी फ्रॉम अदर बैकग्राउंड से होता है. सो आईपीज किसके नाम से होनी चाहिए? फाउंडर अपने ओन नेम से ले रहा है या फाउंडर कंपनी नाम से ले रहा है, या दोनों अपने अपने आइडियाज मिक्सअप कर रहे हैं तो दोनों अपने नाम से ले रहे हैं. सो दैट शुड बी डिफाइंड क्लियरली इन वेरी फर्स्ट डे टू अवॉइड any misunderstanding. Then there should be this could be a create huge implication. Initially founder may think that he is protecting his interest by registering in his name, but ultimately if you are looking at taking the company to the next level, you need to make sure that assets are in the company name, that the value live in the company. Normally when the business has started, founder may be purchased from the own money the various things, and but whenever the company has started and startup has started, there should be a first day should be put in the agreement that uh, whatever that money they have invested, how they will take get back from that startup, how they are ownership getting by the company, and all these things. So there should be the clear on the first day among and between the founders when they have started uh, their startup. More than other, there's the most important is that employee agreement. नॉर्मली स्टार्टअप जब स्टार्ट होते हैं तो एम्प्लॉयज भी उनके पास एक स्पेसिफिक टेम्पलेट वगैरह नहीं होते कि मेरे को ऑफर लेटर देना है एम्प्लॉय को, कैसे एग्रीमेंट करना है, and what sort of the things need to be keep in mind when there is a employment with some of the employee. So for a startup it is always better to be agreement with the employee, or because जब इनिशियल डेज में स्टार्टअप स्टार्ट करते हैं तो एम्प्लॉइज भी बहुत सारा अपना दिमाग लगाता है. दे आर व्हेन यू आर डिस्कसिंग विथ योर आइडियाज, यू आर क्रिएटिंग द सम प्रोडक्ट, and sometimes there may be a more valuable input given by the employee also rather than founder. Then there should be a specific things to be keep in mind, that whatever ideas you are consolidated of employee and founders, use whatever then you should do the product has you prepare a product, and that product then sometimes when there is a not clear no employment agreement, then sometimes employee may also claim that I am also parallelly involving in this type of the things to create this product or to create this innovation, to create these IPs. So there is a better always to return in the first day whenever you hire an employee, to avoid any misunderstanding with the employee and founders. Ki whatever the ideas of either is an employee or who work in the team, on which name the intellectual property should be there. So this should be specifically mentioned in the employment agreement. And the most important thing, there is a termination clause. So what if there is a lock agreement, you are entering into agreement with the supplier on the guarantee that you will supply and you will purchase good from him for X number of year, or do you want to protect from the sense he will not abrupt terminate the arrangement because you are depending to him for your website. You may want to log inform both angel from the person supplying you from the Google, and also from the perspective of you being in the position why that kind of guarantee. So you term in and termination is also something critical, especially a lock-in arrangement. It's so good to think through these two three critical head, and when you are looking in the consideration and providing that a brief contract, there should be other legal clause which is over one founder come to dispute resolution, government governing laws, various other provision are technical and fairly standard. So there should be a always termination clause, there should be a notice period. So अगर employee छोड़ के भी जाता है तो at least he should be this a minimum notice period. So आप किसी दूसरे employee को hire कर सकते हैं, and at least your operation is does not affect whatever your service, whatever you are doing is does not affect. There should be a specific termination clause, there should be specific notice period should be mentioned in your employment agreement. When start a startup, then they always think about profitability, and when they are reach the break-even analysis. So a startup always need to be analyzes the break-even when they reach the break-even point. uh, let's understand the break-even point. Most of us know about what is the break-even analysis and all these things, but I covered only the one slide of the break-even point because it's most important part. So element of cost break-even point. Any business involves several expenses on ongoing basis, each of which behave differently. Based on this, cost can be categorized under the following three headings: variable cost, fixed cost, or semi-variable cost. Variable cost are the costs which are directly related to the production output. They increase with increase the volume of product and vice versa. Example, raw material cost. Fixed cost, these are the costs that remain stable, do not change as the production level change. Example, rent. And same is a semi-variable cost like electricity bill. The point where the total cost equal to our revenue is called a break-even point. For proper analysis of the stage is required to draw a valuable finding. Every startup aspire to reach the break-even point at the earliest, so that they can reach the next stage of the profitability as much as faster. Revenue and cost can also be drawn out and graph of understand and analyze the break-even point. Now for the startup, there is a most important thing, that is to get the funding. And to get the funding, startup need a business plan, and not normal business plan. There should be the effective business plan that impress the investors, impress the venture capitalist, so they can invest in your startup. So how can you create effective business plan? While making a business plan, it is important to first do your research and understand that what could be the those component which could be directly related to the product you want to sell. And if you are selling like jewelry online, typically jewelry cost would involve, this is a major cost of the jewelry if you are selling the jewelry online. Apart from that, what happening, you took a photo, so आपका photo का cost उसमें include होगा. And apart from that, there should be labor of the skilled and goldsmith for making that ornament, that's labor should be included. uh, and apart from that, depending on the arrangement you have, then it would involve the cost of raw material being processed, which could be basis weight or basis count. The next probable component would be the designer fee, which again could be per day, per consignment, per piece, or whatever the arrangement is made. So first, in your online businesses, there will be a vendor who will provide you with the standardized course, set of diamond cuts or gold cuts. Second, there will be a set of people who would be working with you as a photographer, who take these photo and upload them in a particular position. Third, you will have an engineering team who will create a platform where people can come and search for the product. Fourth, you will have a sales and marketing team who will actually go out to sell these products, so and so forth. Like a goldsmith and ornaments labor cost and photographing cost to upload on that website. Apart from that, there should be include other cost also. The first, that rent of office premises. We need to be also warehouse to store that jewelry. Related electricity cost also, office expenses and traveling expense and telephonic and communication expenses also to be considered whenever we are making a effective business plan. Then last, capex and working capital expenses. Apart from the above, the other two component which you should consider while planning would be the amount of cash flow required for working capital requirements, and also the fixed asset that you may need to invest, and the quantum of that. These component will add to your fund requirements, and you may want to plan these well in advance, as building fixed assets may have a lead time and can be the bottleneck of your business if not planned in advance. So you should be always plan in advance whatever the fixed expenses also. Now the most important for the startups, and there is a confusing for the normally कि startups का valuation कैसे होता है. Startups जो आज $7 million का है, if for example Paytm जो $7 million का है, if the Warren Buffett has put only $1 million, then startup valuation got just double, like $15 million and whatever. So let's start how the startup valuation are doing. To understand the valuation, we talk about the four terms. That first one is funding, second is pre-money valuation, third is post-money valuation, and fourth is dilution. Essentially, funding is amount of money which you have gone to raise the investor to. So you say, for example, you say I want to raise $1 million, and that's amount of funding you are negotiating with the investor. He might or might not agree to give that of the money or at least that's the money which you want to raise. So that is funding. So let's say $1 million is what I want, and $1 million is funding is what I'm looking for. So this is the called funding. Next is comes to the pre-money valuation. Pre-money valuation, how we can decide the pre-money valuation? Pre-valuation normally will are doing on the before getting the funding. The startup on idea stage or maybe startup product is validated. So pre-money valuation is essentially the value founder created to this point of time before funding goes into your bank account. This is called the pre-money valuation. So investor might say you have got a team, you get a good product, but you don't have a customer. So let's say on trial and error basis, they are examine that, let's say your evaluation is $5 million. However, from the other side, startup is always bargaining that he maybe justify his valuation that you have a just identify that we have a good product, we have a also but we don't have any customer. So, but we have a customer in line. So our valuation should be the 9 million. So this type of the negotiation is happening. And so at some point of time when negotiating at a particular value, the investor will negotiate down to a particular value and always, and where we comes at a pre-money valuation. So let's say both comes down to 7 millions, $7 million as a pre-money valuation, and that's the negotiated of the pre-money for the startup. Now now the investor want to be put a $1 million, then pre-money valuation is $7 million, and investor put a $1 million, then 7 plus 1 is total 8 million dollar is a post money valuation of the startups. After post money valuation, there is a fourth term is a dilution. Dilution normally क्या होता है कि फर्स्ट जब भी स्टार्टअप और कंपनी स्टार्ट करते हैं तो all is equity is owned by the founder only, but when the investor is coming, then he dilute his equity to the investor against the whatever funding he is getting. So for example, in above example, there is a 8 million is a post money valuation. So maybe for this $1 million investment, the startup can dilute his equity 12 to 13% around. So this is the dilution. Now we'll understand what are the stage of the funding, on what stage of the funding is required to the startup, and how they are invest in the startup on stages. So pre-seed and seed funding. Normally there is a difficult for the every startup to get the investor at a pre-seed or seed funding. So यहाँ पे जो भी founders हैं वो अपनी कैपिटल लगा के स्टार्ट करते हैं, आइडिया को वैलिडेट करते हैं कि हमारा आइडिया है वो चल जाएगा अगर आप इसमें इतना मनी ऑफ अमाउंट ऑफ डालोगे तो. So then once his idea is validated and his product is validated and product is minimum viable product and his product or service are getting money from the product and services, then startups can go for the series A funding, where startup normally say to the investor that कि आप हमारे में हमारे startup plan startup business में this much of the amount you can put. तो हम इस जो current number of customers हैं, for example current number of customer only 10,000, if you put this much of the amount of the money, because of we have a scalable business model, we can reach in the next 6 months 1 lakh customers. So these are the stages of the funding. These are the commitment by the startups to the investor they are doing, and series A, B, C they can raise whenever they need to be expand his business, and finally they can go for the IPO to raise from the public also. Now most important thing, when the startup are getting funding, then he need to be sign a term sheet. Term sheet is nothing. Term sheet is an agreement between the startup and investors, and investor put his condition in the term sheet, so the founder can't take any advantage of the investor money. So let's discuss some terms of the term sheet. There is a initially there is a basic terms like investor name, company name, founder name, existing investor, if there is any investment amount, how much investment amount is required, and sixth is valuation, how the value of the company you have done, always investor has discussed. Then condition precedent. What is the condition precedent? जब भी इन्वेस्टर पैसा डालता है तो वो ऑलवेज ये कंडीशन डालते हैं कि इनिशियली स्टार्टअप और फाउंडर्स अपना पैसा लगा के स्टार्ट करते हैं बिजनेस. बट व्हेन द इन्वेस्टर हैज पुट द मनी, देन इन्वेस्टर इज ऑलवेज फियर दैट कि जैसे ही मैंने पैसे डाला मेरा पैसा निकल सकता है कभी भी. So investor has put the condition in the term sheet that startup can't withdraw his capital, can't withdraw his unsecured loan for the next 3 year, for next 4 year, and maybe 5 year, as per the investor to investor maybe vary. Sometime anti-dilution. Anti-dilution, what is that? When investor has invested in the startup, then there may be the valuation of 10 million. But after that maybe startup not getting any customer, so startup का valuation अगर कम हो जाता है तो parallelly when startups valuation has comes down, then there may be a chances to the investor उनका risk increase हो जाता है. So उनका risk को रिस्क को एपेटाइट करने के लिए उनको देयर में भी नीड टू बी इश्यू एक्स्ट्रा शेयर. फॉर एग्जांपल उनको 1 मिलियन पे उनको अगर 1 लाख शेयर दिए गए थे इन्वेस्टर्स को, अगर स्टार्टअप्स का वैल्यूएशन डाउन हो जाता है तो आज के वैल्यूएशन पे कितने नंबर ऑफ शेयर आते, देयर इज अ डिफरेंस नंबर ऑफ शेयर नीड टू बी इश्यूड टू द इन्वेस्टर. इन देयर अफर्मेटिव राइट, इन्वेस्टर समटाइम्स द पुट कंडीशन कि before any start any branch or any line of the product, there should be a permission from the investor. The 10th there is a important, there is a ROFR and ROFO. This is a right of first refusal and right of first offer. Normally what happen when founder or maybe some of the shareholder want to exit in the from the company, whatever the reason, so investors has put the condition कि जो भी exit हो रहा है कंपनी से, वह सबसे पहले कंपनी को इन्वेस्टर को ऑफर देगा अपने शेयर सेल करने के लिए. एंड इन्वेस्टर हैज अ राइट ऑफ फर्स्ट ऑफर, और उसके पास ही राइट होता है फर्स्ट रिफ्यूजल, मना करने का कि नो आई डोंट वांट टू बी दिस शेयर, यू कैन गिव टू द समवन else. Next is tag along. Tag along is that if the founder decided to sell his share, what happen sometimes when the company is not growing or startup is not growing much, then founder है वो अपना शेयर बेच के निकल जाना चाहते हैं, तो इन्वेस्टर ऑलवेज पुट कंडीशन दैट कि अगर कोई फाउंडर अपना अगर शेयर कर रहा है, शेयर को अगर सेल कर रहा है तो उसमें पैरेलली इन द सेम प्रोराटा बेसिस इन्वेस्टर के भी शेयर सेल होंगे. नेक्स्ट इज ड्रैग अलोंग. इफ द इन्वेस्टर हैज रिसीव ऑफर फ्रॉम थर्ड पार्टी, अब दिस इज कंडीशन दैट कि इन्वेस्टर के पास में कोई अदर पार्टी है जो उस स्टार्टअप के शेयर खरीदना चाह रही है. इन्वेस्टर इज ऑलरेडी होल्डिंग द शेयर ऑफ दिस स्टार्टअप्स, लेकिन सामने वाली पार्टी है उसको 10% इक्विटी चाहिए एंड इन्वेस्टर के पास ओनली 7% इक्विटी है. तो इन्वेस्टर्स नॉर्मली वो टर्म शीट में ये कंडीशन डलवा लेते हैं कि अगर मेरे को कोई थर्ड पार्टी मिल रही है और वो एक पर्टिकुलर शेयर की डिमांड करती है, देन और इन्वेस्टर इज ओनली होल्डिंग 7%, so they should be taken 3% also taken 3% from the company and sell his share to the investor as per requirement of the third party. Accordingly, there is a liquidation preference. Define the distribution of profit among the shareholder in case of liquidation event. And representation and warranty. Representation of the day-to-day business, running of the business. And after term sheet and signing, and before funding, you getting the funding in your bank account, investor is also doing a due diligence. Due diligence they are doing after a post term sheet. What they are doing in the due diligence, they are doing a 3 type of the due diligence. Normally there is a business due diligence, legal due diligence, and financial due diligence. In business due diligence, they normally identify what are the future of the business. Legal due diligence, they examine the contract. Here is the most important thing. how you contract with the vendor, customer, employee, because they are doing the due diligence of each and every contract. And financial, your historical financial statement, how the startup is growth and what sort of growth in the future also. So once this is done, investor and founder agreed on the condition which we have discussed in the term sheet, condition precedent and condition subsequent. Beyond all this, founder and investor agree to, after this there is a all these term sheet are finalized, then they make a shareholder agreement and share subscription agreement which lay out the term sheet agreement in legal language, and all this leads to close the deal with investor. So these are the factors, or these are the analyzing which we have discussed above. To start any startup, we need to do either environmental analysis, industry, how they define this contract, what are the terms of the in between the among the founders, and how they can get the funding, how the startups valuation are doing. Apart from that, normally कई बार अपने पास भी बहुत सारी क्वेरी आती रहती है कि कुछ आइडियाज चाहिए जिसमें कि हम कुछ गवर्नमेंट के बेनिफिट्स मिल सकते हैं. सो इस गवर्नमेंट स्टार्टअप में गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया में स्टार्टअप इंडिया पोर्टल पे इन्होंने कुछ आइडियाज ऑलरेडी उन्होंने डाल रखे हैं. If you can pick the any one of the idea, you can take any solution or any innovative solution from out of them, and if there's any idea of your related to any one of them which is listed on the Startup India portal, then they get easily recognition on the startup portal first of thing, and they get also good initiative from the government of India's all these things. So these are the some of ideas. Read by one. The prevention of food waste, clean railway, quality education related, marketing and disabled friendly nation, traffic management, if any crop insurance, pollution control, transport infrastructure, mosquitoes disease, waste management related, animal welfare related, and recently they put some ideas due to some pandemic of the COVID-19, if any hygiene, how you can hygiene of your business environment and things. And apart from that, there is some other ideas, financial inclusion, skilled workforce, epidemic management, and energy crises. So these are the ideas they put on that website. That's it from the my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for such a powerful presentation. Now it's time to take questions of our viewers. So the first question is, how to raise initial funding for a startup?
So initial raise the funding, you should get in touch with the angel investor, you should get into touch with the venture capitalist, or if you want, if any one of the state government, यदि कोई स्टेट गवर्नमेंट की पॉलिसीज हैं तो वो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट आल्सो प्रोवाइडिंग द फंडिंग. इफ योर आइडिया इज वैलिडेटेड, इफ दे लाइक योर आइडियाज, you can get the funding from the state government also, and maybe always easy as compared to the angel and venture capitalist.
Thank you, sir. So next question is, in cutthroat competition prevailing today, what will be your guidance and advice to the current startups?
Currently, this is always your what ideas you want to be started. Your idea should be innovative, and to take a competitive advantage, you should be have a unique process. You should be have some uniqueness from the other things. Like in the starting, I give an example of a pharma medicine company, how they will be the selling to the medicine to the customer, so they can attract to the customer. So to took the competitive advantage, you always should be some unique things you need to be do.
Okay, sir. Now anybody wants to ask any query can raise their hands. Any queries? I think, sir, your presentation is well enough that सबकी queries खत्म हो गई है.
Okay.
Now, I would like give me a second.
Yeah.
Now, before ending our session, I want to like to share screen with our special guest, CA Deepak Dusad sir. He wants to share one live example with us. But before that, I would to tell something that we are not promoting any particular brand or any particular thing here. We just want to tell how to convert our ideas into reality. And for that, Deepak sir has one very good presentation on that. Deepak sir.
Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon once again. I would like to introduce Mr. Manish Jain, our GM Marketing and PR, would explain in a detail how we are transforming the existing mom and pop shop in a modern shops. Please.
Okay, thank you, Deepak sir, and good afternoon to all the attendees of this conference, of this digital conference. So it is an extreme pleasure for Kirana King to be amongst all of you right now. So allow me quickly to share a small presentation with you so that the discussion becomes more lively and interactive. स्क्रीन जो प्रेजेंटेशन लेनी है इसमें एडवांस में नहीं नहीं वो पीपीटी जो है ना
पीपीटी को शेयर करना है
इसको स्टॉप कीजिए सर. अब ये शेयर पे जाइए और बेसिक में जाइए. अभी यहाँ पे पीपीटी होगी ना.
नहीं मेरा स्क्रीन
उसको ओपन कर रखिए ना सर अपन ने.
ओपन.
हाँ उसको ओपन कर लेते हैं.
ओपन कर.
उसको फुल. हाँ अब आप उसमें जाइए.
See the screen?
Yes, sir. We are able to see your presentation.
Excellent. So basically, we would like to inform the esteemed participants that Kirana King is empowering the entire grocery retail segment in the country. And there is no other brand in the entire country in retail who is doing such a work for the benefit and empowerment of the traditional Kirana merchants. So what has happened over the years since the Indian independence of 1947, there has been a tremendous reform which has taken place in the retail industry. But there has been no brand or no company, I would say, who came forward and worked for the benefit of the Kirana community, which is a very wide community in the country. Because हम सभी के घर के आसपास रोज हम जहाँ से निकलते हैं किराने वाले हर जगह हैं, लेकिन उनके सशक्तिकरण के लिए किसी ने सोचा नहीं. तो किराना किंग ने अपना एक रिटेल एज अ सर्विस बेस्ड बिजनेस मॉडल डेवलप किया, जिसको हम लोग रास बोलते हैं शॉर्ट फॉर्म में. तो आप लोग देख पा रहे हैं कि वी आर अ रास बेस्ड एंटरप्राइज. तो रिटेल एज अ सर्विस. Yes, so this is our unique grocery retail franchise business model. Retail as a service, जैसे हमने सबने सॉफ्टवेयर एज अ सर्विस सुना है आज तक, रिटेल एज अ सर्विस का एक यूनिक कंसेप्ट है जिसके जरिए कंपनी क्या करती है, एक तरफ तो डिमांड जनरेशन का काम करती है और दूसरी तरफ सप्लाई को, ब्रांड्स को भी प्रमोट करती है ताकि वो लोग इस मॉडल के थ्रू, किराने वालों के थ्रू ग्राहकों के और नजदीक पहुंच सकें। तो एक ब्रिज की तरह काम करते हैं हम लोग, जिसमें हमने एक ऐसा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर क्रिएट कर दिया जहां पे कंज्यूमर भी आता है, डिमांड क्रिएट करता है, और ब्रांड्स भी आते हैं, अपने ब्रांड्स को वहां पे पोजीशन करते हैं। आज की डेट में सबसे बड़ा जो चैलेंज है इस रिटेल इंडस्ट्री में, वो ये है कि ब्रांड्स, बहुत बढ़िया प्रोडक्ट्स हैं उनके पास में, लेकिन वो अपने इन प्रोडक्ट्स को पोजीशन नहीं कर पाते। तो होता क्या है कि पोजीशनिंग के अभाव में वो ब्रांड लुप्त हो जाता है मार्केट से, और अल्टीमेटली सिर्फ एक मॉडर्न ट्रेड या ई कॉमर्स पे जाके सीमित हो जाता है। तो ये एक बहुत बड़ा डिसरप्शन है जो कि किराना किंग लेके आया है। और सिंस आप और हम, आप लोग सभी लोग एक बहुत बड़े सोसाइटी को केटर करते हैं, उनकी प्रॉब्लम्स को सॉल्व करते हैं, तो हमने इस प्लेटफॉर्म को समझा कि हम आप तक इस प्लेटफॉर्म को शेयर करें सो दैट इट बिकम्स, ऑल ऑफ अस बिकम अवेयर। तो ये देखिए, ये मैं चाहूंगा एक बार आप सभी जो अटेंडीज हैं, इस बिजनेस मॉडल की 4-5 लाइंस को अगर आप गो थ्रू कर लें तो यू विल कम टू नो अबाउट आवर बिजनेस मॉडल इन ब्रीफ। अब देखिए आप किस तरह से, मतलब हम लोग ने शॉप्स को ब्यूटिफाई कर दिया, किस तरह से उन शॉप्स पे जो आज से सिर्फ एक मॉडर्न ट्रेड में ब्रांड्स के जो आप ऑफर्स देखते हैं वो आपके नजदीकी किराना स्टोर पे मिल जाएं। तो ऑल दीज आर थिंग्स व्हिच हैव बीन मेड पॉसिबल बाय किराना किंग थ्रू इट्स रास बेस्ड मॉडल। जो कंपनी का विजन है वो बहुत क्लियर है। अनूप जी इज आवर फाउंडर एंड सीईओ, तो उन्होंने इस विजन को चरितार्थ कर दिया है। And we wish to create India's largest offline marketplace and dynamic alternate commerce platform for grocery retail. मैं next slide पे चलता हूँ so that we can, okay, ये please turn next slide. देखिए यहाँ से पिक्चर बहुत क्लियर हो जाती है कि किस तरह से रिटेल इंडस्ट्री में तेजी से चेंजेस हुए हैं। हम देखते थे कि पहले बहुत ट्रेडिशनल स्वीट शॉप्स होती थी, नाउ देयर आर ब्रांडेड स्टोर्स which have come up in the form of sweet shops. Then we see कि पहले जो टेलर शॉप्स होती थी, जो कपड़े वगैरह सिलते थे, वो बहुत ट्रेडिशनल, वहां भी एक बहुत ट्रेमेंडस रेवोल्यूशन हुआ। एंड नाउ देयर आर टेलर बुटीक्स अवेलेबल बोथ फॉर मेन एज वेल एज विमेन। ऑप्टिशियंस की दुकानें पहले हम देखते थे कि किस तरह की होती थी, अब वो मॉडर्न स्टोर्स आ गए। इसी तरह से आप देखेंगे शू कैटेगरी में तो फुटवेयर की दुकानें पहले बड़ी कॉमन सी होती थी, आजकल ब्रांडेड स्टोर्स आते हैं। सेम एज हैपेंड इन स्पास एंड वेलनेस, टोनी एंड गाय एंड लॉट ऑफ अदर सैलून्स आर देयर। इसी तरह से हम देखते हैं कि ग्रोसरी में भी देयर हैज बीन अ ट्रेमेंडस रेवोल्यूशन। लेकिन बहुत बड़ी जो चैलेंज आया, कंपनीज आई, उन्होंने अपने खुद के स्टोर्स खोले, लेकिन कोई भी ऐसा नहीं आया जिन्होंने एग्जिस्टिंग किराना स्टोर को एम्पावर करने के लिए सोचा हो। तो किराना किंग एक सोशल एंटरप्राइज के रूप में आगे आया है और तेजी से जो किराना सेगमेंट है उसको उसने रेवोल्यूशनाइज किया है, एम्पावर किया है और उनको एलिवेट कर रहा है कंटिन्यूअसली। सो टुडे किराना किंग इज नोन एज इंडियाज फास्टेस्ट ग्रोइंग ग्रोसरी रिटेल नेटवर्क। और किसी भी रिटेल ब्रांड के एक ही शहर में इतने स्टोर्स नहीं है जितने किराना किंग ने जयपुर में, आपके शहर में कन्वर्ट किए हैं। तो 200 से ज्यादा स्टोर्स हैं आज किराना किंग के जयपुर में। वी कैन मूव ऑन सर टू द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड। या देखिए यहाँ क्या हो रहा है कि देयर आर लॉट ऑफ क्वेश्चंस व्हिच आर देयर कि अभी क्या होता है, दुकानदार खुश हो जाता है अगर उसके ऊपर कोका कोला या किसी भी ब्रांड का बोर्ड लग जाता है। तो हम लोग ये बोलते हैं दुकानदार को कि ये दिस इज नॉट द ब्रांड ऑफ योर स्टोर, ये आपके स्टोर पे ब्रांडिंग हो रखी है, राइट? तो ये एक बहुत बड़ा क्वेश्चन है जो कि किराने वालों को अब समझ में आने लग गया है कि व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन ब्रांड एंड व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन ब्रांडिंग। देखिए बहुत सारे चैलेंजेस हैं जो आज के किराना रिटेलर्स अपने डे टू डे उसमें फेस करते हैं ऑपरेशंस में। तो दीज आर सम बेसिक चैलेंजेस विच आर प्रेजेंट एवरीवेयर। तो इनको आप देख सकते हैं एंड देयर इज लॉट ऑफ पोटेंशियल। आज का मॉडर्न कंज्यूमर क्या चाहता है? वी हैव ट्राइड टू enumerate the basic things here also. तो what does the modern consumer want today? जो उसको किराने की दुकान पे पहले नहीं मिल पाता था, लेकिन अब किराना किंग के आने की वजह से ये सारी चीजें मिल रही हैं नियर बाय स्टोर। तो these are some basic challenges, कुछ खुद के challenges हैं, कुछ consumer related challenges हैं। ये देखिए what is the current position? ये जो किराने की दुकानें आपके और हमारे घर के आसपास है हम रोज देखते हैं, वो इस तरह की पोजीशन में है जहाँ पे आप देख रहे हैं ऊपर एयरटेल का भी साइनेज लग रहा है, लक्ष्मी भोग का भी लग रहा है, आइसक्रीम का लग रहा है। तो कुल मिलाकर के दिस इज ऑल ब्रांडिंग ऑन द स्टोर। तो एक शॉप का ब्रांड नहीं बन पाया। तो हम निवेदन करते हैं सभी दुकानदारों से दैट आपकी दुकान अमूल्य है, इसके मोल को समझिए। Okay, now we can move on to please go on sir. Yes, देखिए इस स्लाइड को आपने पहले वाली कुछ स्लाइड्स देखी और इस स्लाइड में फर्क क्या है विच इज एविडेंट। अभी तक तो क्या था, आप देख रहे हैं कि एयरटेल का और लक्ष्मी भोग का साइन बोर्ड है। अब क्या है, हमने उसको जैसे उस स्टोर को कन्वर्ट कर देते हैं, नाउ उसकी पहचान हमने चेंज कर दी। नाउ इट इज अ ब्रांडेड ग्रोसरी स्टोर। ये ब्रांडिंग नहीं है, नाउ इट इज अ ब्रांडेड स्टोर। तो कंज्यूमर को ये समझ में आता है और आइडेंटिफाई करता है कंज्यूमर कि मेरे को तो ब्रांडेड स्टोर से ही खरीदना है। तो द माइंडसेट हैज गॉट ब्रांडेड एक्चुअली। ओके, तो ऐसा ये देखिए आपको यहाँ भी वही चीज देखने को मिलेगी। फिर हम बहुत सारे रेवोल्यूशन करते हैं स्टोर के इनसाइड, कैटेगरी मैनेजमेंट वगैरह पे। तो मिस्टर संजय मिश्रा जो फेमस बॉलीवुड एक्टर हैं, ही इज आवर सेलिब्रिटी। आपने देखा होगा इनको पिक्चरों में, फिल्मों में वगैरह। ये हमारा एक बिजनेस मॉडल समराइज्ड है। इसको आप देख सकते हैं कि किस तरह से हमने रिटेलर कंज्यूमर को कनेक्ट कर दिया है इस स्टोर के माध्यम से, जिसको मैंने अभी आपको शुरू में बोला, डिमांड और सप्लाई, और ये बीच की चीज इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है। तो किराना किंग ने एक बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग B2B ऐप भी तैयार किया है जिसके जरिए दुकानदार आराम से ऑर्डर्स प्लेस कर सकता है। हम लोग अभी एक B2C ऐप लॉन्च करने जा रहे हैं जिसमें एक रेवोल्यूशनरी कंसेप्ट ला रहे हैं, क्लिक एंड कलेक्ट का, जिसमें कंज्यूमर घर बैठे ऑर्डर कर सकता है और अपने नियर बाय स्टोर्स पे जाके सामान कलेक्ट कर सकता है। ये आप देख रहे हैं कि किस तरह से कुछ हमारी बिफोर एंड आफ्टर की ग्लिम्पसेस हैं। वी कैन गो ऑन सर, वी कैन गो ऑन, we can go on. Okay, so this was a brief presentation about Kirana King. तो हम लोग आप लोगों से एक ही गुजारिश कर सकते हैं इस वक्त, दैट सिंस आप लोग एक बहुत बड़े स्ट्राटा के साथ काम करते हैं, आपका एक बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग सर्कल ऑफ इन्फ्लुएंस होता है, आप सभी फाइनेंशियल सर्जन्स हैं, तो यही उसमें रिक्वेस्ट कर सकते हैं कि आप लोग अपने ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोगों को इस सशक्तिकरण के बारे में अवगत कराएं। और our contact numbers are given here, our email ID is given here. We request all of you to please kindly visit our corporate office which is at Durgapura, so that we can talk more, we can learn more, and if you want I can also, or my team can also come down to your place to give more ideas on it. मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा दीपक सर से कि प्लीज।
थैंक यू सुहानी।
थैंक यू सर फॉर सच अ वंडरफुल प्रेजेंटेशन। हम सबके पास कुछ ना कुछ,
कोई भी क्वेरी हो, हमने जो डिस्ट्रप्शन क्रिएट किया है ग्रोसरी सेगमेंट में, तो अगर इससे रिलेटेड कोई भी क्वेरी हो, कोई भी प्रश्न हो दिमाग में, तो फील फ्री टू आस्क एनी टाइम, अभी या बाद में, नो प्रॉब्लम।
यस सर। लाइक हम सबके पास कुछ ना कुछ आइडियाज होते हैं, पर हम लोग का कोई कॉन्फिडेंस या करेज नहीं होता टू कन्वर्ट दोज आइडियाज इनटू रियलिटी, बट योर एग्जांपल एंड योर प्रेजेंटेशन विल डेफिनेटली कन्वर्ट आवर करेज और कॉन्फिडेंस इनटू रियलिटी। थैंक यू सर।
बेसिकली थैंक यू एवरीवन, थैंक यू महेंद्र जी। Thank you,
And I would
Kunji ji.
like to thank to our learned speaker, Mahendra Kumawat sir.
Thank you, Suhani. Thank you, Deepak sir, for joining us.
Thank you to all the viewers to give their precious time to us. Thank you.
Thank you.